Okay, everybody. My name is James Mackay. I am the head of Gradar UK. Thank you for joining us today on our webinar, Fair Pay in Focus. So this will be focusing on ensuring pay equity with Gradar and FPI Lab. So we have with us today Lisanne and Henrike, and I will hand over to them shortly. But for now, I will be your moderator. My name is James, and we will be hearing from Lisanne Metz, the Chief Operations Officer of Gradar, and we have Henrike von Platen, who is the CEO of FPI Lab. So what we're doing today is we're going to walk you through some Gradar features, some interesting information about Fair Pay Innovation Lab, and the reason we're doing so is because Gradar and FPI Lab have just announced an exciting partnership where Gradar is now certified to deliver the universal pay fair check through FPI Lab. So what we want to give you today is a bit of a breakdown about Gradar's gender pay gap features. Lisanne will walk you through those, and we'll hear from Henrike a little bit about FPI Lab, what it stands for, why it exists, and a bit about the universal fair pay check too. So I will hand over to Lisanne, who will walk you through some exciting new Gradar features. Thank you, Lisanne.
Thank you, James. So basically, one thing which I would like today to really give you a glimpse, basically, because there's a lot of things to know about, but also to give you an idea of what's coming and also to have an idea really what we are about, basically. But first things first, before I'm coming to like the gender pay gap analysis, I just would like to remind you that before we can go into the gender pay gap analysis and everything, the really solid foundation would be always to have a really good job architecture in the background. Why is that? Because we do have different kinds of job architecture, how we can really evaluate that and so on. And this is really the foundation for really performing a good and solid job gender pay gap analysis afterwards. And I think, Henrike, you would agree with me that it's really like the base for everything, right?
Yes.
Thank you. So that's like what I would like to show you today. And just also as a reminder, and as I just said it, that there are like different kind of how we can take a look at the gender pay gap analysis. So first, there's like the unadjusted gender pay gap, and there we don't need any job architecture or anything like that in the background, because there we can just basically take a look at the average salary between men's and women's, and then basically see, okay, what's the difference? The problem I'm always saying, it's not really showing what's the real gap, because it can be also based on, for example, that women's and men's are performing different jobs. And that's like another problem, of course, because women's are performing jobs with less value, but not that we really have a gap. The other function which we are having is the adjusted gender pay gap. And this is what I would like to focus on today, is really about the relative value, which we take into account to calculate really the real gap, which we both analyzers have basically in Gradar, which is quite nice as well. Just to give you a glimpse, what we are currently having is basically this right now. So you might be familiar with this dashboard right now as well, because this is one thing which we already did, I think, a few months ago, where you can see different analyses. For example, the average gender pay gap on base pay, but also on target total compensation. And you can see a summary of your whole gender pay gap. This is one of our newest feature. And you can take a look about that and really see the gap between variable pay components and so on, which is quite nice, and just have a simple export function. One other thing which is new, and just to give you also an idea, is the so-called heat map. What are we doing here? We are going a bit more deep, basically. So one thing which you will see here, and I know these are now a lot of different colors and a lot of different numbers as well, is really see the global job family as one of the components. So, you know, when you grade your job, you also will always decide for a global job family, and also the job grade, which in this case is going from 5 to 17. And you see the different gender pay gap based on the value of the job, and also basically the job family. And we see, for example, here at grade 6 in the job family business administration, we do have a gap of minus 11%. So women are earning 11% more than men, so in the other direction. and you will always see a summary basically on there. So this has been released already 2 months. And why is this so important? Because we also need this for the European Union Pay Directive, because there we speak always about comparison groups, basically, which we need to analyze, basically. So you already have this in your Gradar account, quite new. You might already had a look around that, but now I would like to give you an announcement about like our newest feature, which you will see in a few weeks. And this is our adjusted analyzers. So right now you don't see this in your account, but you will see the exactly same analyzers, which I will show you right now in your Gradar account, basically. So what is new? So right now you see a lot of different configurations and you see a lot of different numbers here as well. So basically we can do here really a deep dive analysis. How is the gender pay gap really in your company? So you can decide here, okay, what kind of methodology you would like to decide for and what kind of control factors. So sometimes you might see that, okay, it's not based on the job grade, but based on other components which have an impact on the gender pay gap, for example, age or global job family, for example. And then you can decide, okay, I would like to control for certain impacts. And then you will see the gender pay gap called in a decomposition analysis in the direct measures. You might ask yourself right now, okay, why do I need to have like certain regression analysis? Because every regression model is having its advantages and disadvantages. While at the decompensation model, we see the impacts of certain factors. So for example, you see, okay, the unadjusted gender pay gap, if I just have like this compare salary men's and women based on the job grades is 12%, but 9% can be explained by the grade. And then you see minus zero, nearly nothing, to be honest, can be explained on age. And then we have an adjusted gender pay gap of 2.7%. Direct measure, we don't see like basically the impact of different factors like we see in the decomposition, but we don't have an overweight about group value. And this matters, Henrike, I think, is also preferred by the FPI Lab, right? The direct measures. So you see basically two different regression models, and you will also have a model evaluation in our software as well. In this case, everything is green. So you see how valid the regression model is. So quite technical. I know a lot of things which you are seeing here. When you have basically this new release in about 2 weeks, you can always contact your account managers to really ask them, okay, what do the numbers mean for my company, basically, and what would be the best regression model really to do a really good analysis to see what's the real gender pay gap, basically. Just to give you an overview about the newest feature. I know a lot of numbers and a lot of things which we are seeing here, but again, so if you have any questions for your own company and everything, just ask your account manager or support at Gradar.
Thank you very much, Lizanne. And yeah, also everybody, if you want to put questions in the Q&A function, then once we've heard from Henrike, then we can run through those and answer them. So yeah, thanks for that, Lizanne. And I think we all know that Gradar is, look, I know I'm biased, but a great tool for achieving fair pay and complying with the EU pay directive. But what we want to do now is really have some kind of certification behind that. So really giving justification to the work we've done and the use of the gradar tool. And that is absolutely where our friends at Fair Pay Innovation Lab come in with their Universal Fair Pay Check, which is the world's leading certification for fair pay. So it is my pleasure to pass over to Henrike, if you wouldn't mind sharing your screen and telling us a little bit about FPI and what you do.
Yeah, a pleasure to be here with you, and a pleasure to have you as new partners on board. And my screen should be appearing soon, and here it comes. So, yeah, first of all, thanks for becoming a partner and traveling with us. You as Gradar, we've known each other for a very long time, but officially now as a partner, that's very cool to have you. So I'll start off with a tiny little story about the FPI, and I'll try to make this as short as possible because I do want to get to the questions. And we've been around since 2017, but only started with the certification in 21. And then the most important part about the certification to know and to actually realize about the certification is that it is a registered warranty mark. So we actually guarantee that the people who wear it, or not the people, the companies that wear it, fair pay is sort of pay fairly. We guarantee that they pay fairly. That's the right way around to say it. And for that, you need to start off with an analysis. So that's what we do. And to give you a small sort of heads up on that, and I know you're going to get the slides later, so I'll leave the reading to you. There are 3 stages, and then we come to the partners. The 3 stages account for you doing an analysis for which you need gradar as a tool to sort of be able to do it. So we don't do this ourselves. And if you do this analysis, and as Lisanne has told you that you get from your unadjusted to your adjusted pay gap, you drill that pay gap down to ±1, accounting only for variables, then you would have reached the developer status. And when you actually manage to drill down the unadjusted also to ±1, you will have reached the fair pay leader status. There are a bit more things around, of course. It's not that simple, but the thing is that it's not that simple to drill down pay gaps. So it's all about what do you do on this way we're doing that. And a very important thing here is that we have a triangle about our partnerships and how we do this. And at this point, I want to hand over to my colleague who is in charge of partners, and he's online as well. So Cesar, could you please tell us a bit about the triangle of partnerships of neutrality that we use?
Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you, Henrike. Thank you, Gradar. Yeah, the triangle basically is going to talk about the roles of us as a certifier, then the partners that are basically the has the role of analysis and go with the companies, and then the companies, of course, that they are going to be supported by both of us. Sorry, because I don't think I introduced myself. I'm Cesar. I'm the lead agent at the Fair Pay Innovation Lab. I'm in charge of partnership and policies. And basically, I'm the connection between companies and partnership. So I hand over to you, Henrike, and thank you so much for the work.
Yes, thank you very much, Cesar. So what he just told us is what makes our process so neutral, because we don't certify the outcomes that we sort of did ourselves with the data of you as companies, which I suppose you listening in are the company side. So you understand how this functions. And the newest partner that we have is gradar, or one of our new partners. So we have around 30 partners, because the important thing for us is that companies need to be able to choose their partner. And if you choose to work with gradar because you know them for whatever reason, and you want to get certified for fair pay with whatever certificate is out there, hopefully ours, then for us, it's important that you can use gradar to do that, or any other that you choose. So that's sort of the reason why we are very much for partners, and are proud to be now partnering with gradar at this stage.
We are happy to have you, Henrike.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say it again.
Do it again. Yeah, it's not easy. I know that. You must know that gradar went through an audit to become partners. So partners get audited by external professors that check if the methodology and everything actually complies with the regulations of the Universal Fair Pay Check, which is the certified part that we took 1.5 years in getting. So it is quite a hard process, but it's not impossible. The same as it's not impossible for companies to pay fairly. Having a goal of 0 pay gap and getting there is not like traveling to Jupiter or Pluto. It's actually possible. And who has done it? Many have done it. So we have over 100 companies certified, and you see a little bit of the list. You can find it on our website as well. Scroll through it. You can search for the fair pay leaders and actually see their pay gaps, adjusted and unadjusted. It has to be transparent. So it's very much about showing also your path. You don't have to be transparent on the analyst level, which is, I think, also very important when you're listening in now and thinking, oh, well, but how do I start? I don't really know how good or bad I am, and maybe my numbers are not so good. Now I have to do an analysis. And you can get certified without telling anybody about the outcome at that first level, which is important because sometimes you don't want to share everything. And sometimes it's not even good. I'm very strong believer in transparency, but at the right point in time and in the right pace, not all at once. So that's the reason why you don't have to be transparent as an analyst. We want to be able that we want to make sure that you know your numbers, that you see your problems, that you implement measures to change and to get better. So that's what we do. And you would sort of find all the other companies that you see here and more that you can interact with, and that we put you together into our fair pay management circles and innovation circles, where you can actually exchange best practices with them. And I moderate these circles always. They are my favorite part, to really get companies to exchange and to sort of help each other or consult each other in a way. So we don't consult, you consult each other. That's what happens in our circles. And to finish off with the important part as well, we are fully transparent. Not only the regulations are online, but also our certification fees. So they're very simple, structured. And what you actually get for your annual fee are 6 online events with us, plus 1 certificate per year, which is important to know that it's actually only valid for 1 year, because we expect you to do minimum 1 analysis per year, because you hire people, you fire people, you change, and you want to not only have a 0 pay gap goal and reach it and then forget about it, you have to constantly work on it to keep it there. So this is important to know. And this is a bit about the circles, which we can just skip because I've told you about them. So you will find them later in your slide deck, and you will find all us there as well. And I look forward to your questions, and I will stop sharing my screen, which is this red button up there, and see you all again, and click on the FAQ and see if we see something there.
Thank you very much, Henrike. So yeah, as you saw on screen then, for any gradar clients who want to explore the universal fay pair check and have it for their organization, just contact me, Lisanne, Phil, your account manager, whoever is your main contact, and we can set you up with Cesar and Henrike, and you can start moving that process forward. It looks like we just have one question in the chat, which comes from our friends Esperta and Anna. And Anna is asking Henrike, why does FPI prefer the direct method when we were thinking about the GPG analyses?
Well, the Oaxaca binder decomposition is something that only works in very, very specific company structures. That's the reason. You can use it in those very, very specific company structures that are very straightforward, very clear tariff systems. I don't know, that's sort of the setting where this method works. It mostly does not work so well in all others. So that's the reason. Both are usable, but we prefer the one. If we get an application with the Oaxaca binder decomposition, it's usually not so good, and it needs a lot of explanation. If it's explainable, then it's good, and that's the right thing for this company, because then it's okay. It's possible to use it. It's just not the preferred.
Agreed, Lisanne?
Yeah, I totally agreed. So I just was like, that's a perfect explanation which Henrike basically gave. And that's also why we have basically both methods in there, so that you see also always the Oaxaca blinder and also the direct methods, basically. And you have like the model evaluation there as well. So thank you so much for the explanation, Henrike.
Yeah, it
Perfect.
took me some time to get there as well.
Lisanne, we have a question from David. David, how are you? Long time no speak. David asks if gradar will be running a training session for the new functionality.
Yeah, we will do that. So basically, he will ask specifically for partners. So there will be a new partner update as well before the summer break as well, so that you're also quite familiar with that one as well.
Great. Henrike, Xavier asks, and Xavier, I have an email outstanding to you that I will send you very, very soon. Do not worry. Xavier asks, is the certification valid in all EU states when it comes to fair play compliance?
It's valid internationally, actually. It's worldwide. We registered it on EU level with the European Office for Intellectual Property, blah, 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 blah. So that's where it's registered, and that's where they sort of checked it thoroughly until we got the stamp of being certified ourselves. But the thing works the same all over the place. To use it as a justification for compliance, yes, you surely can, because it's an open regulations and everybody can check what you've done. And we're very neutral with the partners plus the screening board that is there and everything. But I'm not sure if it would hold if you sort of really use it for legislation compliance level. That's not there because it's not what they ask for. What we ask for is different to the legislation. It's a lot harder actually than legislation, but it doesn't also include certain questions. So if you look at the EU Transparency Directive, for example, and you now start to think about the implementation in different countries, and they have different specific tiny bits that they want to see. And maybe we don't want to see them because we don't feel they are important, but our goal on the other side is a lot harder. So if you pass us, you are definitely ready to pass all the legislation, but you might need some more bits here and bits there for the reporting and stuff like that. So you cannot just say, I have this done universal fair pay check, I'll tick all the other things off. I would love it to be like that, and we would try to get there, but we're not.
Stuart, I'm going to come back to your question. I'm just going to ask Xavier's second part. So, Henrike, do you deliver certifications per corporation or per legal entity? So if somebody's compliant in state A but not yet in state B, how do you kind of handle that?
We do both, actually. It depends.
Okay.
So all
Good
is
answer.
possible, depending on the company and their structure. So we have companies like Puma, for example, that have certified Puma Germany, Puma Spain, Puma whatever, 9 entities, I think, by now. So they have certified countries by countries. We have Siemens Energy certified globally on international level, the whole group as once. The same goes for Breitling. It's a group. But others, again, have a certified country by country and have the goal to sort of, Bayersdorf is a good example. They have certified 50 countries and are going to go for the global certification. So then they will drop the countries and they will do only one global. So it's a question also if you want to use it differently for communication reasons. And if you maybe say you don't have data from internationally everywhere, so you say, I'll start with Puma, it was the case. They said, we start with headquarter, and then from headquarter, it goes to others. And then they sort of come in and they spread the word and they have internal trainings and they can use it internally. And they have, of course, also entities on different status. So you'll find an analyst, a developer, and a leader, and you can start exchanging between your own inside your own organization. You can do best practice exchanges and communicate and sort of take them all on the way. So it depends on your structure. We make both possible. It's a bit of a difference in the pricing then, because we always charge for the global group. And if you do entities, you have to pay an extra fee of 800 per extra certificate that you would do. But that's sort of the minor part, I would say. So that's definitely possible and definitely internationally the same. You might even run different variables international. So the interesting part, actually, when you think about what you're going to do, to give you one hint on how do you go about this, if your culture is, and I take Puma again, because in this case, they are really great, but that doesn't mean that it always has to be like that. They have a set of variables that is the same for everybody worldwide, always. So, and they stick to that, and that's it. But on other side, you have companies that say we have a global structure where we say globally, these are the 3 ones that everybody uses, but we allow for local differences in the variables because of cultural reasons. So that's also possible, and that's something that you need to think about on a corporate level. The Erste Group Bank, for example, an Austrian bank, they have entities everywhere. They will always go for the entities, and there are sort of the differences. And these kind of discussions you can have inside the fair pay management circle. And maybe one last thing, very important, when you decide for this certification and you've decided already for gradar and you say, I want to get certified, you should register straight away. Then you have a year time to actually send in your application. And in this time, whenever you do that, the application dates are quarterly. So you have every quarter you can apply for certification. but you can already attend all circles. You can exchange, you can see others how they do it. And then maybe after 6 months or 9 months or 2 months, whenever you're ready, you actually send in your application. So it's about sort of registering, being part of that group, and then coming up around with your application when you're ready.
Great. Thank you very much, Henrike. Cesar, this might be a question for you, actually. This is from Stuart, one of our UK partners. He says, can you tell us a little bit more about the actual certification process? So Henrike mentioned an audit of reward practices. How long does this take? What does it require from the client side? If you could just give a bit of information on that, I think Stuart would appreciate it.
I think Henrike, hello. I think Henrike gonna be more specialized about this question.
Okay, fine. Henrike, I
Sorry about
stitched
this.
you up, Cesar. Sorry. Henrike, over to
That's
you.
okay. That's okay.
No
That's fine.
problem.
Thank you, James.
Cesar is great with the partners, so that's wonderful. We split that up. No,
Thank you.
we don't do that, the audit ourselves, but if you register, usually I would say we do see companies that actually take a long time until they apply, but most of the times, once they have started with doing their analysis, it's a couple of months, 2, 3 months, something like that. And depending, like if you are working together with Gradar now, and you already have your data inside Gradar maybe, and you're already working with your data inside Gradar, then it's really fast, because then the application is a matter of, okay, the next deadline is September 1st. Until then, you should all be ready. So it's not, if you have done nothing and you're still collecting data, then you would probably take those 3 months. But if you are already working with your data, then it's quite fast.
Fab. And then we have one final question from Nicole, who says, well, I'll try and kind of paraphrase it a little bit. So how does FPI and the Universal Paycheck handle contractors' pay versus employment? Does that still fall under the same banner?
What do you mean by contractors pay now when you have like self-employed people that you are contracting for parts? Well, depend. Some companies take these things into account, some don't. Usually you take the employees only. If I understand it right, depending on how you take it, even sometimes people ask, do we take tariff inside or not? Of course you take the ones in the tariff system inside. And if the contracting people has differences, if you and you can take them inside, do so and figure out if you're doing it right. But often it's not possible, and they're not sort of your employees. And maybe you have some kind of students, for example, as well, where you would say they all get the same amount. You can have that written down where you have a strict policy that gives you the possibility to leave them out. Hoping that I'm getting the contractors part right now, but you should have to really see how it's set up, and it's like benefits, to give a comparison, because that's something that is discussed a lot at the moment. It's the same with benefits. You are supposed to take them in, but then again, you have benefits where you would say, oh God, how do I do that? And then again, they're the same for everybody. It's like the metro ticket everybody gets. So everybody gets it. It costs you the same. So you might as well just leave it out. So you have to think about how it's actually set up.
Fab. I'm just checking if we have any outstanding questions.
Nicole,
We
yeah,
do
okay.
not. We are all sorted. Henrike, as always, you have covered everything expertly. So that is everything that we have time for today. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who came along. We will be distributing the slides where you can see a couple of screenshots from Gradar's new analysis. You can learn more about the Fair Paycheck, and there's some contact details there for any Gradar clients who want to get the ball rolling when it comes to getting the Universal Fair Paycheck for their organization. So thank you all very much for joining us, and I'm sure we'll have a session with the guys from FPI again soon. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Happy to do so. See you around.
Thank you
See
so
you
much,
around.
Henrike.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.